Aloha and good morning. PV here, Upper Chapel. Welcome to the final episode of No Script November, as it's been coined in the comments. And speaking of the comments, last week I asked you all, what would you do if you were free to do whatever you wanted? And Eli Smith in grade 12 said he'd still be chilling like a villain, which means I guess he's living the life he wants to live. So good on you, man. And I'd like to thank those of you who actually do leave comments there on the videos. Doing chapel on YouTube has been an interesting experience and experiment. In fact, that whole No Script November was coined by Catherine in the 12th grade. And so, thank you, Catherine. Maybe I'll have you in charge of my marketing. So, now, speaking of comments, remember, a couple weeks back, I shared with you all about my Grandpa Gene, and when I made that video, I interviewed my tutu, and I asked her for permission. And so when the video was made, I sent it to her just so that she would know, hey, this is what I said. And I think that she's actually subscribed to me because she also leaves comments on the videos. So, very interesting. That got me thinking about, the people who've kind of invested in my life. And first, it would be one of the people that comes to mind is my tutu, because she prayed for me for many years to come to know Jesus. Because fun fact, before the P in PV stood for pastor, it stood for prodigal. Okay, and since we've got elementary age kids watching this, I'm not going to go into too much detail. But what I will say is that Mrs. Watanabe used to be in my tutu's small group for many years. And every week they would pray for me. And she didn't know me at the time. All she knew me as, at least in her mind, was Auntie Mary's loser grandson. And she really seriously wondered whether or not I would ever come to be saved. Well, lo and behold, here I am. And it was kind of funny. We were eating lunch on the lanai one day when my tutu walked by and said, "Oh, Ann, this is my grandson." And Ann was like, Mrs. Watanabe was like, that grandson? And my tutu was like, yeah, that grandson. So things happen. I also was thinking about, two of my teachers from when I was in school, two of my math teachers specifically, Mr. Wood and Mr. Takayasu. Mr. Wood taught me trigonometry, which is a hard subject in and of itself, but he made it fun. He uses his background as an Air Force officer. He was retired to make it clear and fun and engaging. And he did a really good job. Mr. Takayasu, on the other hand, had the uncanny ability to take wrong answers and then make them right. Like people would, raise their hand in class, to a question, and he'd take the question. You're like, ooh, okay, so maybe we okay, let's do this, and then okay, we go do that, and then you got the right answer. And I was like, well, that's really cool, man. He could have just said like, no, you're wrong, but he really worked to help students find their way back on track. Now, I learned years later that both of these men were committed Christians, and I hope that I bring them on, because I try to incorporate some of what they did to be a better teacher myself. Okay? Now, I want to let you in on a little secret. Yeah, you, students, pay attention, okay? Pay attention. I want to let you in on a little secret. You ready? Teachers are in some ways not unlike students. In fact, most teachers are perpetual students. They're constantly reading and watching videos and attending conferences, sometimes because we have to, and just trying to figure out more effective ways to teach. But here's the thing, though. You remember a few weeks back when I asked you all for how you guys stay motivated and what motivates you? Okay? Just like students, teachers struggle with motivation too. I mean, just think about the times in which we live. Imagine training for a job, 4, 6 more years if you have a doctorate. And then the situation changes, and this is why I script things. But here's the thing. Some of your teachers have trained for a really long time for this job. A lot of your teachers have been doing this job a lot longer than some of you have been alive. Now imagine a global pandemic hits. Imagine that the government, in an effort to slow the spread, locks everything down. And the situation then immediately demands that that teachers learn a whole new set of skills, not in months, but weeks. Okay? They're trying to figure out how to do new software, new procedures, new ways of distributing content, and how to teach to a little webcam to a classroom that looks more like an episode of Hollywood Squares. Now, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I'm going to put out myself out there as a type. Now, before I continue, this is not a ploy for like, oh, we appreciate you, Pastor Valente. Yes, we do. We really do. No. I mean, yeah, if you do, that's cool. I don't need you spamming the comments, though. This is not an attention ploy, okay? But I do want to put myself out there as a type to give you an idea of how some of your teachers might actually be thinking, feeling, experiencing this whole thing. The thing is, I've been struggling with motivation, okay? There are times when I'm just like, oh, man, like, what am I doing with my life? I'm on the back end of my life. I am no spring chicken. I ain't that old yet, but I ain't no spring chicken. I'm on the back half of my life, and I'm like, am I really maximizing my time in such a way as to maximize my impact? And yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like, what am I doing? Like, am I really where I'm supposed to be? Could I be doing something else? And it you know, it's a struggle. Okay? And I bet some of my fellow teachers, think similar thoughts too sometimes, especially, with everything that's going on and the extra effort and, all that goes and doesn't come with it sometimes. Sometimes you just think, maybe I should do something else with my life. Well, thankfully, we're not the first people, and we certainly won't be the last people who get discouraged when doing what they think is what God has called them to do. We've been going through Galatians. Well, not really going through Galatians, but I've been reading through Galatians, and so I've been sharing some stuff out of there with you. And this particular passage I'm about to read for you became very apropos. And so it's in Galatians 6, verses 9 through 10. I'm going to put a link in the description to the U version, so you guys can go look that up. But it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers." Now, before moving forward, okay, doing good does not put us in the good graces of God. Actually, it's because of His good graces that we respond by doing good. This is why Paul's letters usually begin with a theological discussion before moving on to the practical application. God's grace first, good works second. But here's the thing. Look at the passage. Let us not become weary in doing good, which assumes, hey, you're going to get weary in doing good. I mean, it's like working out. Like, it's the right thing to do. Burpees, push-ups, running. It's good for your body. It's good for your health. It's good for your spirit. It's good for your mental health even. Endorphin release. Okay? But what's a lot easier than working out? Sitting on my couch, playing video games, eating Doritos, and drinking Mountain Dew. That's a lot easier, okay, than doing pull-ups. But the thing is, that's not going to benefit me. Giving in to, what Paul in some places calls the desires of the flesh is not going to benefit my soul. So I've got to do the good, even though it can be difficult. And I think Paul might even be speaking from experience, because this letter, the letter to the Galatians, is very different from Paul's other letters. In this particular letter, he has a very different tone. In fact, there's an interesting passage that I'm not going to share here, because again, we have elementary students in the house. But there's things in the Bible that, you go hunt for it and leave it in the comments. If you find what I'm alluding to about maybe controversial passages in Galatians, leave it in the comments. And if you get it right, I don't know, I'll shout you out. I'll do something for you. Okay? But Paul had basically planted this church, and they had gone astray. Okay? They were trying to Jesus plus, the gospel. And he's got to be thinking, maybe he's thinking like, I tried so hard to teach these kids. Not these kids. Well, they were kids to him, like kids in the faith. He tried so hard, and he got so far. But in the end, It didn't even matter because they were doing Jesus plus for the gospel. And he's got to be thinking, okay, I have wasted my life on these people. Okay, but he doesn't give up. He shows that he doesn't give up just by the sending of this letter. He's like, hey, like, I gotta correct you. You guys are adding things to Jesus that should not be added. It's Jesus plus nothing. And so, yes, weariness can lead to discouragement. Okay, but we want to avoid that. And yes, the same thing can happen to us. Okay, we can be, plugging away at something and it's just like, it ain't going through. Okay, whether you're a teacher trying to create a lesson that the students will respond to, that they'll engage with, that you can see, the light bulbs turning up, turning on above their heads, or students when you're working on learning a concept and it just feels like I can't get it, like I don't understand geometric proofs, or I don't get like history, or whatever it is for you. Okay, it can be discouraging. I mean, the passage assumes that. Okay, but he says, don't worry. Okay, keep doing good. Okay, now in this case, obviously he's thinking about doing good to other people. Specifically, he may have in mind here raising money for some of his missionary journeys, or for the church at Jerusalem. But I think we can also apply it to doing good to other people, as well as doing good as in the right thing that you're supposed to be doing. Okay, now here's the thing. He says that we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. At the right time, we'll see the fruit of our labors. Now, here's the thing. As I've gotten older, I really appreciate the wisdom of older people, because older people have a lot more perspective, because they have seen sort of the patterns of life, and so they tend to be a lot more rock solid. Unlike me in my 20s, man, in my 20s, it was like a ship tossed to and fro, both emotionally and mentally. And I think I've stabilized a little bit more as I've gotten older. But they've got that perspective that, like, hey, like, this will pay off. And I think that's why my tutu was able to pray for me all those years, because she's like, I've seen this before. I've prayed people into the kingdom before. Yeah, it's not looking good today. It might not look good next week. It might not look good next year. But God will do what God's going to do. Only let us persist in doing good, so that at the right time, a harvest will be reaped. So how do we apply that to ourselves? Well, for that, speaking of older people, I'm going to share some of the words from a big brother in the faith to me, Mr. Curry. Now, he's not like old. Okay? He's not even that much older than me, but he has been a follower of Jesus for longer than me. And we're prayer partners, and we were discussing this week, and I was sharing with him, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And he really shared some good words of encouragement, and so I want to pass that on to you as well. He just basically said, and teachers, I'm going to go to you first, hey, just keep going, okay? Because here's the thing. We may not see the fruit in our students today, tomorrow, the next week, the next year, okay? But just like all of us teachers, we were once students, one of these days the light's going to turn on, and they're going to think back. Okay? And they're going to think back to all the things that we said, and more importantly, all the things that we did, and it will click for them. So please persevere. You may be the one planting, okay? Somebody else may be the one watering. Somebody else might be the one reaping, okay? But keep doing what you're doing, okay? You will make an impact. Students, those of you who are feeling weary from trying to do the good thing in school, trying to work hard, okay? Maybe you're just not getting it. I want you to just keep plugging away. Yeah, you might not get it today, tomorrow, the next week, the next year. I still don't understand chemistry, okay? But you might get something more out of that. Maybe you won't understand molecular bonds, but you'll reap the benefit of hard work, okay, and perseverance, and never quitting, that you can then apply in other areas of your life. Now, in closing, normally I would have asked you at the beginning of the intro of the video, like, hey, share with me, somebody who has invested in you. But I decided I want to do something different, because next week is a short week. Yay! And there's no chapel next week. So here's what we're going to do. I would like for you to send me a pic, or perhaps a video, maybe like 30 seconds, of something that you're thankful for, and then let me know why you're thankful for that. Okay? So you can email that to me at kvalente@kcsohana.net. Again, that's kvalente@kcsohana.net. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these things together, and then on Wednesday, I'll release that. Now, here's the thing. Usually when we think about being thankful, we think about things. What I want you to do is, yes, we can be thankful for things, but think about who maybe provided those things for you. It's like, I'm thankful for my mom because she gave me a puppy, not just, I'm thankful for my puppy, okay? And teachers, I want you in on this too. I do want to hear from you, somebody that you were thankful for and why you're thankful for them. So you can email me the pic or the video at kvalente@kcsohana.net. If the video is too big, you might have to use your Google Drive. Let me know if you need help with that, and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. If you could get those to me by next week Tuesday, 3:30, I'd be super appreciative, and I'll put those together. We'll make a video, and then I'll send that to you all. Now, the video will not be public because I don't want to put any of you out there into the public sphere, so don't worry about that. It'll just be shared amongst us at KCS. So again, please, I'd love to see and share with others what you are thankful for, especially who you are thankful for. Okay, so go get me that stuff. All right, cool. Well, on that note, I'm going to just close out chapel and by saying, how thankful I am, and I think we're all thankful for our administration, who has been working really hard to help us navigate this new time in which we are trying to continue our mission to nurture each one of you students to your God-intended potential, and your mission to grow into your God-intended potential. So, Principal Robin, Mrs. An, Mr. Kanakanui, Mr. Kaji, on behalf of the student body and the teachers, I just want to say that we are thankful for you, and yes, just you're awesome. Okay, keep doing what you're doing. Keep supporting us the way that you support us. Keep leading us in God's way. And on that note, aloha. Have a great day.